Hello, I'm so glad to have Senator Roger Wicker with me today here at McGee News. And, you know, I don't always let him off so easy, so I've got a few questions I'm going to ask you, but I don't think any of them will give you any problems at all. He's here in McGee today visiting, and it's not political, it's visiting and just getting to see the people. He's been to the Napa store just to be a part of the business in McGee, and we were over at Pioneer with Joey McNulty. But I wanted to ask you, because there were a lot of things that I remember when you came into office last time, but there were some things I did not know about you. When was your first term of office? What year was that?
Well, you know, I've had an opportunity to serve in the state legislature, and I was elected to the state senate in 1987, and then to the House of Representatives in 1994. And of course, I thought I would just finish up there in the House of Representatives. But Trent Lott retired in 2007. So I was appointed by Governor Barber and then immediately ran for the special election.
So really,
that's how I got to know the people of Simpson County best, was running statewide in 2008.
Yeah, that way you got to go from one to the coast to the capital and on over. So you've pretty much always been in politics.
Well, not necessarily. I was in, but I was, I guess, in student government when I was in school. But then I went into the Air Force, and I served 4 years on active duty as a judge advocate. And then I came back to Mississippi, and we moved to my wife's hometown of Tupelo, and I practiced a little law for a while. And then that's when
it was just in your blood. I think if somebody loves it when they're in high school, we had a group of students at the meeting this morning from Simpson Academy, the government class, and I have to tell you, it was the best teaching class I've been in a long time. He taught us well, and I love that anyway.
Well, most of us get over it by the time we're grown, but
I don't think I ever do either. I think I always. What are the most important areas of the government to you?
Well, of course, I'm worried about our national defense and these defense cuts that are looming first of the year. We call a big term called sequestration. There are meat acts across the board cuts, and of course we need to avoid those. Our national defense depends on it, but also in Mississippi it's the 2-for-1 of job creation.
Well, I was going to say
we have thousands upon tens of thousands of Mississippians working in defense manufacturing. So we need to be very, very careful with that, particularly in this time when we're being threatened by Iran, and we don't know what Al-Qaeda is up to, but we can be sure they're up to no good. And then at the time when our economy is suffering, the last thing we need to do is cut jobs in defense-related, security-related fields. So I worry about that, and then I talked to the young people today and the people from the town who came out about our national debt. I'm very worried about our excessive spending problem. We have a spending problem in the United States, and we're going to have some bipartisan, nonpartisan, grown-up discussions in Washington, D.C. about how to put ourselves back on a sound footing.
It's like something we all don't want to do. I know you know even at home, but if you don't.
Well, you know, I pointed out though, we had city officials there. They have to stay within their means. If revenues fall off, they have to make adjustments. And the same with county government and state government.
And with our sales tax down, I don't think sometimes people realize the effect this has on our city government. You know, they're all the time saying, we don't have enough money, and I don't think some people even have the concept of how those.
But the point is, they have to make grown-up decisions, and Washington, D.C. needs to do the same thing.
That's a very good point, because I think sometimes too many people make their decisions political. You know, they don't.
Well,
it's
true.
hard. I mean, but you know, in a way you have to. I mean, it's kind of a catch-22.
But I think more and more people, I think politically, more and more people realize that things have gotten out of hand in Washington. And we've been living outside of our means. So actually, I think it's good politics to be a conservative in Washington today. Hope so.
I hope so too.
We surely do need it.
I have to ask you this, because I saw it on something on one of my websites I was looking. What is a deputy whip?
Well, it's part of the leadership. But what we do is we try to formulate a position that we can all agree on, or most of us can agree on, and then before we actually take a vote on the issue, it's nice to go around and check and see if you've actually got the votes. And so that's part of what the whip organization does.
I thought that was, I couldn't figure it out at all.
We work with the whip, and he's the assistant party leader. So it's a little bit of cajoling, a little bit of persuasion, and a lot of vote counting.
Yeah, it's a good way to meet everybody too.
Well, it's a good way to know what makes your
you can get
what
into
makes
their
your
mind.
fellow senators tick.
That's right. What have you been active in the healthcare issues? What is your feelings on all of that?
Well, yes, absolutely, and of course we've been very helpful in rural healthcare.
Right.
In Mississippi with organizations like Pioneer, because Mississippi is a rural state, and there are a lot of the programs that really don't reach the average Mississippian. So we've done what we can with what we have, but we also have to realize that health care costs have been going up so much, and that was an attempt by the Obama administration. They felt that the Obamacare would lower the cost of health care. I never believed that. And what we've seen is that health care costs have gone up even more after Obamacare. And health insurance premiums have increased an average of $2,500 for the average American. So that hasn't worked, but we still need to tackle this issue of the inflation rate being so high in healthcare. And I think we do that with competition. What holds down the price of milk? What holds down the price of cars or anything else we buy? It's free markets, and people have choices, all kind of choices. It's a situation that has worked to an extent with Medicare prescription drugs. We've actually come in way below budget on Medicare prescription drugs because there's competition. So the best thing I think we can do for health care is have wide access, have choices, get rid of all these regulations that limit the choices of Americans, and see if we can inject some free market forces.